Hello, everyone. My name is Linda Carter. I will be your presenter today. Just a little bit about myself. I've been in clinical research now for a little over 10 years. I started out as a study coordinator in a university setting, and for the last 5 years I worked as a CRA in a pharmaceutical and vaccines company, as well as a trial manager and program manager. And as it pertains to this particular topic, I've had an occasion to write many monitoring plans, and so I can attest to the value and the importance of a monitoring plan, and I look forward to hearing your questions or your comments, because I think that your participation or your feedback only enhances the learning that we hope to achieve. The learning objectives for today's presentation will include the ability to develop a monitoring plan to meet unique needs of a project and a protocol, to identify factors to consider when developing a monitoring plan as they relate to risk-based monitoring, and to link the plan to CRA and site performance to meet project goals and promote continuous improvement. So the FDA introduced the concept of a monitoring plan over 25 years ago, around 1988, and it's since become one of those critical documents that we use to ensure adequate and consistent monitoring in all of our clinical trials. Today's sponsors and CROs are expanding the use of a monitoring plan to using it as a tool to identify and address site and CRA performance challenges. And I think that's a particularly interesting variable that we can incorporate in a monitoring plan. When you incorporating your monitoring plans into the overall performance and quality management systems within any organization, I think we'll find that it's going to save you time, it's going to ensure consistency, and ultimately increase the quality of your clinical trials. We all know that we work with a compliance and performance-driven industry, and as such, it's critical that your monitoring plan function as an integral part of your organization's quality systems. What's the potential cost of poor monitoring and poor site performance in a clinical project? We all ask ourselves these questions, and we're all looking for tools to try to reduce those risks. And we ask questions like, have you measured how much time you've spent solving problems versus preventing them? And I think this is probably one of the bigger questions that a good monitoring plan can address. What's the cost of a warning letter to a clinical investigator, or a warning letter for inadequate monitoring? I've seen those. They're not pretty. They cause a great deal of anxiety. In some cases, warning letters can result in the agency refusing to accept the data analysis that a sponsor company produces, and includes the investigator's data points. So you can imagine that there's real money involved, as well as intangible cost to the sponsors and the sites when you have poor performance. So we ask, what if we develop systems and plans that allow us to get better at anticipating challenges and planning for prevention of poor performance, instead of always being in that reaction problem-solving mode? I think we're all trying to get there, and that's sometimes difficult to do. One of the things that a monitoring plan asks of you early on is you need to put the time and the effort into it. We really think that a robust monitoring plan can help to improve your organization in any of these directions. This content that you see here comes from an international newsletter, the CRA Advisor. It occurred with an interview with a representative of the FDA in 2008, and in it, it stresses the agency's approach to focusing on the Big Five. And even though this was in 2008, these are still the main 5 topics that the FDA focuses on whenever they come to a clinical site. They're looking for things like falsification and fraud, supervision of the study and delegation of responsibilities. You see that in your delegation of responsibilities log. Communication breakdown, and that can be between the sponsor and the investigator, or between the investigator and the IRB. They find that there is a frequently communication breakdown that leads to poor quality and endangers subjects. Also, the Big Five includes record keeping and documentation. And lastly, failure to understand the key elements and integrity, things like ALCOA, which are the principles that data should be attributable and legible, contemporaneous, original, and accurate. Organizations' monitoring plan can support these high-risk areas as well by anticipating risks, looking for weaknesses in the current monitoring systems, and documenting guidance or clarifying gray areas in the monitoring plan.